Doctors embark on their greatest adventure in his 50th anniversary special. In the 21st century, something terrible is awakening in London's National Gallery. In 5062, a murderous plot is afoot in Elizabethan England. And somewhere in space, an ancient battle reaches its devastating conclusion. All of reality is at stake as the Doctor's own dangerous past comes back to haunt him. Welcome, friends and companions. How are you today? Sci-fi and fantasy fans and all sort of fans meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music and sport, and a special place on this channel for Doctor Who. This channel has multiple names, but most of the time this channel is called Random Entertainment Channel. Random because we discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books and music. Um, but we don't do religion and politics. These are not entertainment. We want to have laughter, joke, humor. So no religion, no politics. Yeah, understand? Perfect. Random because we will broadcast on non-fixed time, actually many different times. The reason behind this is that I want to meet as much people as possible in different countries and time zones, and I want to serve as much people as possible, and reach people as possible. So you need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. Actually, random also because we have no guests or different guests. It depends on what you join me in the live stream panel. If you want to join me in the live stream, feel free to contact me via a comment under one of the YouTube videos, or you can contact me via Discord server, Random Entertainment Channel. If you are searching in this board, tag Doctor Who, and you'll find me very quick because I pump the server regularly. So uh, we will look what is possible and make appointments. Now feel free also to invite me for your channel for a live stream or panel. That is also possible. What I want to because I want to contribute on your channel also, and I want to meet you. I want to meet and make new friends and want to network. So, in summary, you are invited for a live stream and panel in my channel, and feel free to invite me for your channel for a live stream or panel. For the record, Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel Tech Doctor Who. So cheers, mate, and have lots of fun. Your host, Enigmatic Joker. So today, officially, it is an 11th Doctor story called The Day of the Doctor, but it's actually a multi Doctor story. But that's for later. So we will do first some general info about this for this story. Here we go. So, okay, ready? Okay. Um, the Day of the Doctor was the 5th anniversary special of Doctor Who. It was written by Stephen Moffat, directed by Nick Curran, and featured Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor, David Tennant as the 10th Doctor, Jenna Coleman as Clever Oswald, Billy Piper as the Moment, and John Hurt as the War Doctor. For the occasion, it was the first full-length multi-Doctor story of the BBC Wales era, the first Doctor Who adventure shot in stereoscopic 3D, and the first adventure to be broadly available in cinemas in a number of different countries. It aired at the same time around the globe on 23 and 24 November 2013 on television. setting a record for the largest ever simulcast of a television drama. In all, it was viewable in some 94 countries and 1,500 theaters worldwide. Domestically, the British Broadcast Corporation's 2013-2014 annual report cited it as the most watched drama on the BBC in 2013, with 12.8 million television viewers and an additional 3.2 million iPlayer requests. It also broke or neared viewing records in a number of other regions around the world. Because of its run and subsequently strong home and media sales, it is the single adventure with the highest gross worldwide sales in the history of Doctor Who. The success of this release led to the Series 8 premiere, Deep Breath, receiving a similar theatrical simulcast as it aired on television on 23 of August 2014. The episode featured the return of David Tennant as the 10th Doctor and the first full appearance and story of John Hurt as a previously unknown incarnation of the Doctor, the War Doctor, in what was also the final chronological adventure for his portrayal of the Doctor. His only full-length adventure on screen introduced a new iteration of the Doctor's sonic screwdriver and a unique TARDIS console room, predating those seen in Series 1. The reason for the War Doctor's existence was to compensate for not being able to use the Ninth Doctor as the incarnation who fought the Time War. Christopher Eccleston declined to return, so a workaround had to be implemented by using a regeneration who did not use the Doctor title, so as not to disturb the numbering. The episode notably features an uncredited cameo from Peter Capaldi as the then upcoming 12th Doctor, uniquely marking the first time in the series' next incarnation of the Doctor is shown before the current incarnation's regeneration. Furthermore, the special depicted the War's Doctor regeneration into the Ninth Doctor, completing a missing link in a chain of incarnations that started with when Christopher Eccleston debuted in 2005 relaunch of the series Rose. The process of resolving the regenerations issue was being enforced by executive producer Steve Moffat, as he wished to have a complete set in time for Matt Smith's upcoming final episode. Moffat also chose to requisition actor Paul McGann for one more outing as the Eighth Doctor in a mini-episode production, The Night of the Doctor, 1 week after production wrapped on the anniversary special, resulting in a second former Doctor returning to the screen as part of the festivities. McGann filmed his own regeneration into Hurt's version of the Doctor, cementing the lineage of all Doctors up to Smith's incarnation onward. The Day of the Doctor also saw the return of the Zygons, last seen in the series in the 1975 Fourth Doctor serial Terror of the Zygons, 38 years after their initial debut, though they had appeared extensively in expanded media. The Day of the Doctor revealed a missing element of the last Great Time War that dramatically altered the outcome as viewers were previously led to believe. Instead of allowing Gallifrey to be destroyed, the Doctors were able to save it, giving the 11th Doctor a chance to shed his guilt from the outcome and begin a new mission to find his way home. The unique circumstances of this revelation also upheld the previous narratives set during the first Russell T Davies era, where the Doctor believed Gallifrey and its residents had been lost in battle, with all pre-11th Doctor incarnations all losing their memory of the event due to timelines being out of sync. Amongst fans, the story was exceedingly popular. In 2014 poll by Doctor Who magazine, which ranked all of the Doctor Who television stories aired to date, Dave the Doctor ranked as Doctor Who DVM readers' favorite adventure of the 50 years. In 2023, it was additionally voted as a reader's favorite 11th Doctor story for the second time, qualifying it as one of 37 finalists in the 2023 poll, in which it eventually placed fifth. Along with Peter Capaldi's surprise cameo, the Day of the Doctor featured another surprise in the form of former Doctor Tom Baker, making an appearance near the end of the story. Baker's appearance marked his first on-screen appearance in a Doctor Who story since the introduction to the Night, which depicted Baker as a future Doctor, and was Baker's first on-screen appearance in a main story of the series since Logopolis. Again, rather than Baker reprising his role as the Fourth Doctor, who had been featured alongside returning incarnations through archive footage, Baker instead portrays a new character only known as the Curator. Initially believed to be a museum curator who bore a strange resemblance to one of the Doctor's past incarnations, his brief exchange and interaction with the 11th Doctor implied that this wasn't the case, suggesting that the curator was actually a future incarnation of the Doctor, with the comic story The Then and the Now, confirming the curator as an incarnation of the Doctor, with the appearance of the curator and the cameo from the 12th Doctor, future incarnations of the Doctor foreshadowing that the Doctor's fate on Translore wasn't as final as the Doctor initially believed to be. The curator, greatly resembling the Fourth Doctor, albeit much older, along with his cryptic words to the 11th Doctor that he would revisit old faces, but just the old favorites, introduced the concept that implied the Doctor, and by extension Time Lords in general, could possibly regenerate into incarnations that bore the same appearance as past incarnations they have had before, during, and regeneration. And as such, a regeneration of this nature could see the return of previous actors of the Doctor in the role of a new separate incarnation from the original ones. This concept would soon be implemented almost 10 years following this special's release during the 13th Doctor regeneration in The Power of the Doctor in 2022, as the Doctor is shown chronologically regenerating for the first time into an incarnation that looked identical to a past incarnation. In the case of the 13th Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, she regenerated into an incarnation that shared the same appearance as the 10th Doctor, much to the new incarnation's shock and confusion. So that's some general info about this 50th anniversary special. Now we will dive into the plot. So, spoiler alert: if you haven't watched and or listened to this special yet, highly recommend to do that. You can choose for yourself to listen to the plot. Otherwise, so okay, let's start. A police constable walks the beat by the Coal Hill School and passes by a sign advertising "I am Foreman, scrap merchant." Inside the school, Clara Oswald is giving a lesson. She ends on a quote by Marcus Aurelius: "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." The school bell rings. As her students leave, a teacher runs into the classroom. He gives a confused look, wondering if she's well. Clara wonders why, to which the teacher tells her that her doctor called and left an address. She grabs her helmet and hops on her motorbike. Exciting Shoreditch, Clara drives past the clock reading 5:16 p.m. and through a freeway tunnel. She reaches an open patch of road surrounded by grassland, where a lone police box is waiting for her. Finally spotting the TARDIS, she rides her motorcycle straight through its open doors, closing them with a click of the fingers. The 11th Doctor, perusing a copy of Advanced Quantum Mechanics, welcomes Clara back with a huge hug. He tells her that they'll be spending a weekend in ancient Mesopotamia, followed by cocktails on the moon. Unexpectedly, the TARDIS takes off without starting the engines. Startled, the Doctor opens the doors, finding a large claw has hooked the TARDIS. It's attached to a helicopter from Unit. At the Tower of London, Kate Stewart is sitting on a bench, eating and observing the ravens of death, which need a change of batteries from Malcolm. Unit scientist Osgood rushes to Kate with a personal phone, stating that the ringtone was the TARDIS's wheezing noise. It's the doctor. Kate reminds Osgood to use her inhaler at the sound of her heavy panting before accepting to the call. Kate tells the doctor that they found the TARDIS in a field and are bringing it in. She inquires as to where he is. The doctor holds the TARDIS phone up towards the helicopter, surprising and mortifying Kate. She apologizes, telling the pilot to instead take the doctor to the scene of the crime. The sudden change in course makes the doctor fall out of the door. Clara holds onto the doctor's legs as he dangles. Phone bobs his head as Kate wonders if he has hung up. Annoyed, the doctor tells, "Next time, would it kill you to knock?" Telling Kate that he'll have to put her on hold, the doctor pulls himself up to put away the phone, making Clara lose her grip on him. She yells his name in concern. Doctor holds on to the bottom of the TARDIS, whooping in excitement and fear. The helicopter arrives at the museum, where it lands slowly to let the doctor off. Clara smiles, knowing the doctor enjoyed the near-death experience. Kate apologizes while the doctor tries and fails at lecturing her. Kate explains that she is operating on orders from the throne. She hands him sealed orders from Queen Elizabeth I. Takes them into the National Gallery for proof of her credentials. Kate asks Osgood what the cover story is this time. She responds that they're using Darren Brown again, saying he's been sent flowers as an apology. As they walk, the doctor explains his relationship with Unit to Clara, who is skeptical of the doctor ever having had an actual job. Though not directly working with Unit anymore, the doctor is still on the payroll as he never resigned. They stop in front of an impossible painting, something that belongs, quote, not in this time or place, end quote. An oil painting in 3D. It depicts the fall of Gallifreyan city of Arcadia on the last day of the Time War. Kate tells the doctor that there is some controversy over the work's name. It is either named No More or Gallifrey Falls. The painting is a slice of frozen time, a form of Time Lord art. The doctor is visibly disturbed by the painting. Claire notices, asking what's wrong. With immense sadness filling his face, the doctor grabs Clara's hand for comfort. He tells her that he's had many faces and lived many lives. But there is one life he had tried very hard to forget. There was a man who brought an end to the Time War, and to both the Time Lords and Daleks alike. And that man was him. This painting was on the day it happened, the final day of the Time War. Flashback to the last day of the last great Time War. As the Daleks ravage Arcadia, a family of Time Lords run in fear. There's little hope of survival. As children cry and people scream, a soldier messages the High Council of Time Lords. Arcadia has fallen. He looks around and sees the Doctor's TARDIS. Then the elderly voice of the War Doctor, the warrior incarnation of the Doctor, asks the soldier for his gun. The Doctor carves a message for both warring civilizations to see into a nearby wall. No more! As Daleks prepare to exterminate a family of Time Lords, the Doctor's presence draws their attention away from the innocent people and leads them to the wall with the message. Suddenly, Doctor TARDIS crashes through the wall, demolishing several Daleks. The Doctor's escape from Arcadia is witnessed by one surviving Dalek of the attack. Though it's bisected, it questions the meaning of no more, bellowing, explain, explain. Nearby Time Lord soldier shoots the Dalek with his gun, and the slain Dalek erupts in flames. The High Commanders gather in the war room, planning their next moves, with the 11th General dismissing the High Council's upcoming plans, as they have already failed. They receive the doctor's message, and the general is not pleased to learn of his presence, calling him a madman. A time lady rushes in to inform the War Council that there has been a breach in the Omega arsenal in the Time Vaults. The most feared and forbidden weapon in the universe is missing. The moment. The Doctor has stolen it and intends to use it to end the Time War once and for all. The Time Lords have already used all of the previously forbidden weapons, but dared not unleash this weapon in particular. It was said that the moment was so advanced as to have developed a conscience and could stand in judgment of the user. The general muses that only the Doctor would be mad enough to use such a weapon. Footsteps can be seen leading away from the battle-scuffed frame of the TARDIS, which has been uncharacteristically abandoned by the Doctor. The sound of his voice issuing an ominous final warning is heard. Time Lords of Gallifrey, Daleks of Skaro, I serve notice on you all. Too long I stayed my hand. No more. Today you leave me no choice. Today this war will end. No more. No more. Doctor's tired face comes into view as he strides across a desolate desert, a burlap sack over his shoulder. He eventually enters a barn-like dwelling, where he uncovers a complicated mechanical box, covered in gears. The device ticks loudly as its clockwork-like parts rattle and clank. As the Doctor studies it, he cannot find a discernible trigger mechanism. While he puzzles over how to activate it, grumbling, "Why is there never a big red button?" He hears a rustling sound. He opens the door and calls out. A girl's voice behind him reassures him that it's just a wall. Startled, he turns around to see what happens to be Rose Tyler. He doesn't recognize her, as he doesn't meet her until his next incarnation. He grabs her arm and shows her out the door, only for her to appear inside the barn again, sitting on the moment. He tells her not to sit on it, as it's not a chair, but the most dangerous weapon in the universe. She asks if the Doctor parked his TARDIS far away from the dwelling, so that it would not witness what he was about to do. Not realizing what she is, he orders her out, and then burns his hand on the box. Impishly, she guides the Doctor to realize that she is the moment's interface. She can hear the Doctor's thoughts, and is tempted to assume the form of a familiar figure from his past. However, the moment gets the past and future mixed up, and so has chosen the form of the Bad Wolf to speak to him. She laughs that the story of the Doctor's life being between a girl and a box, referencing to his companions and the Doctor and the TARDIS, referencing to his companions and the TARDIS. So weary and bitter, the Heavenly Time Lord tells her to stop calling him the Doctor. She states it's the name in his head. Doctor tells her it should soon exist in his head anymore, as he's no longer worthy of the name. She replies that he will be the one to save the universe. He explains that the suffering of the universe is too great, and he must end it. He also intends to meet his death after using the moment, not wishing to live through the bloodshed, but she decides this fate and punishment will be to survive the activation and face the consequences. Like a conscience, she challenges his words and actions, guiding him towards his future. He will destroy the Daleks, but he will also murder his own people, asking him how many children on Gallifrey will die. But he has no idea. After the moment suggests that one day he will find a way to count them, the Doctor sits in contemplation. The moment tells him that she is going to open a window in time to show him the man he will become. A time fissure opens and a vase falls out, much to the mutual confusion of the Doctor and the moment. Back in the 24th century, Kate explains that Queen Elizabeth left the painting to prove that the orders do come from her. Doctor breaks the seal and reads her words. My dearest love, oh, the painting known as Gallery Falls will serve as proof that is your Elizabeth that writes to you now. You will recall that you pledged yourself to the safety of my kingdom. In that capacity, I have appointed you curator of the Under Gallery, where deadly danger to England is locked away. Should any disturbance occur within its walls, it is my wish that you should be summoned. Godspeed, gentle husband. End quote. As Kate leads the Doctor and Clara away, a nearby unit scientist named McGillop receives a mysterious phone call. Befuddled, he stares at the painting, wondering why he should move it. The Doctor and Clara approach another painting, which shows the figure of Queen Elizabeth I and the 10th Doctor. Clara sees this is proof the Doctor once knew her, having seen all his past lives in his time stream. The Doctor states he knew Elizabeth I a long time ago, but practically being a different man back then. In England in 1562, the 10th Doctor and Elizabeth I ride out of the TARDIS on horseback. The Doctor having proven that it is really is bigger on the inside. She responds, the door isn't bigger, it nearly took her head off. They share a picnic on a hill, where Elizabeth expresses concern that he has seen more. The Doctor confirms that it wasn't his face, but he has indeed fought in a battle. He then proposes marriage. When she joyfully accepts, the Doctor accuses her of being a Zygon, shapelifter, that has replaced the real Elizabeth, as the real Queen wouldn't accept marriage from a handsome stranger, or be so nonchalant about the Doctor having a different face. He whips out a device that goes ding, to prove that she is a shapeshifter, before realizing that it was the horse they were riding. They run for their lives. Doctor dreads being an engaged man. Oh, good work, Doctor. Nice one. The Virgin Queen. So much for history. They split up in the woods. But Elizabeth is accosted by the Zygon. The Doctor runs through the woods, even threatening a rabbit he mistakes for a Zygon, before he is reunited with Elizabeth. However, a doppelganger of her appears, and he is unable to tell who is who, as both speak as Elizabeth would. Suddenly, another time figure appears, with the Doctor noting anything can happen. A vase falls through, confusing the Doctor. Back in the National Gallery, Kate welcomes the 11th Doctor and Clara to the Under Gallery, established by Elizabeth I to house dangerous art or things that could not be understood. The Doctor notices that the floor is covered in stone dust and asks Osgood to analyze it with a triplicate report and a lot of graphs. As they walk through the gallery, the Doctor spots a vase in a glass case, immediately dons it, much to the bemusement of Clara, who wonders if he can ever go past one without putting it on. The Doctor tells her that that's never going to happen. Kate shows them more 3D paintings or landscapes with the broken glass from their shattered frames covering the floor. The Doctor notes that the glass has been shattered from the inside, and Kate says that they all contain figures which are now missing. As they leave to investigate, another time fissure opens. Annoyed, the Doctor faintly recalls seeing the fissure before, Before realizing that the vest that had fallen through in 1562 was a vest he was now wearing. Delighted, he throws the vest into the fissure and follows it with a loud Geronimo! Clara tries to follow, but Kate restrains her. You doesn't need the only other person with access to the TARDIS's technology getting lost. The 11th Doctor falls through a fissure and lands in front of the 10th in the 16th century. Stunned, the 10th Doctor dons the vest himself. The 11th pops up and Gables excitedly about how skinny his predecessor is, which makes the 10th realize who he is. They incredulously pull out their sonic screwdrivers and compare them, with the 10th jokingly suggesting the 11th is compensating for something because of regeneration being a lottery. As they begin bickering, the time fissure increases in intensity. The 10th Doctor orders the two Elizabeths to run away in opposite directions. Both kiss him and flee. The 11th Doctor points out that his earlier self just kissed a Zygon, which has venom sacs in the tongue. 10th Doctor, rather annoyed, says he doesn't need the reminder. Clara calls out from the fissure to the 11th Doctor, asking where he is. The 11th Doctor asks the 10th when they are and repeats it. Clara asks who the Doctor is speaking to, prompting both to say, myself, at the same time. Both are amused that they spoke together. Clara asks if the Doctor can come back, hypothesizing that the fissure can go both ways. The Doctor tosses his vest in, but it fails to appear in Clara's time. At the end of the Time War, the War Doctor picks up the vest. He hears Kate explaining to Clara that the Doctor has met an earlier version of himself. Kate leaves, calling the office to bring her a Cormier file. As she exits the hall, a mysterious shadow looms. Back in 1562, the 10th and 11th Doctors are staring at the fissure. The 10th states that since the 11th used to be him, he should remember what happened next. Unfortunately, the 11th has no idea. Shocked his successor can't remember this event, the 10th Doctor asks why. The 11th counters it because the 10th isn't paying attention well enough. It tells him to reverse the polarity of the fissure. Both aim their sonic screwdrivers at the fissure, but are getting no results. The 10th Doctor tells the confused 11th that he's reversing the polarity, while the 11th is reversing it back. They're actually confusing the polarity. Suddenly, their tampering with the fissure results in something falling through. Much to their shock, it's the War Doctor who asks if they lost the vase. Both are horrified to see him. The War Doctor greets them and states that he's looking for his future self, prompting the 10th Doctor to state that he's come to the right place. The War Doctor wonders who the two of them are, wondering if they are his future companions. Both the 11th and 10th Doctors are shocked and insulted by the question. The War Doctor laughs. His companions keep getting younger. When the War Doctor asks to be pointed in the general direction of his future self, both the 10th and 11th Doctors pull out their sonic screwdrivers and turn them on. But the War Doctor is stunned, asking several times if they are his future selves. Seeing that he's found two of his future selves at once, the War Doctor wonders if he's going through a midlife crisis. As he walks towards them, his future selves brandish their screwdrivers threateningly. Scoffing, the War Doctor asks why they're pointing scientific instruments at him. Suddenly, they are surrounded by the Queen's soldiers, who believe the Queen to have been bewitched by the Doctor, asking which of the trio is the man they seek. The War Doctor quips that today is their lucky day. 10th and 11th Doctors point their sonic screwdrivers in defense again, prompting the War Doctor to dryly joke if they're going to assemble a cabinet at them. Clara's voice sounds from the fissure, allowing the Doctors to convince the soldiers that She is the wicked witch of the well. Kate has, at that point, returned to Clara. The Queen returns to the group, implying that her human counterpart is dead. She has the trio of doctors arrested and taken to the Tower of London, with the 11th loudly hinting for her to take them there. The hint is picked up on by Kate, who takes Clara to the Black Archive to retrieve Jack Harkness' vortex manipulator. The doctors are thrown in a cell with a wooden door. The sonic is useless as it doesn't work on wood. The 10th Doctor begins musing how a temporal paradox will start kicking up with three of them in the same room for a long time. The 11th works with a nail on the pillar in the room, stating it's their way out. Ignoring him, 10th Doctor asks why these three doctors have been brought together. He and the 11th were surprised, but the War Doctor came to find them. The big question is why? War Doctor sees the moment, which gestures to keep quiet about it. In the present, Osgood and McGillip are reading the results of the analysis of the stone dust. The dust is from materials not found in the structure of the building, but common in statues. Osgood realizes that the statues must have been smashed and suddenly understands why. The inhabitants of the paintings needed a hiding place. The Zygons reveal themselves from underneath the dust clouds covering what humans had believed were statues. The aliens accost McGillop and corner Osgood. Osgood prays for the doctor to save her, but instead of being killed, she is faced with her duplicate. Copy Osgood asks for her inhaler. Annoyed, she has had to copy a human with a defect. Having seen into Osgood's head, Zygon says she wishes she copied her sister instead. Osgood thinks her sister is better than her. Osgood outsmarts the Zygon, noticing that it is standing on her scarf. She pulls it out from under the Zygon, knocking it over and allowing real Osgood to flee. Kate and Clara enter the Black Archive, housing the most dangerous alien tech recovered by UNIT. Its contents are so top secret that its staff have their memories modified every day. The guard has been there 10 years, but always thinks it is his first day. Apparently, this has happened to Clara once, as she has already obtained the necessary clearance to enter the archive. They view the vortex manipulator, which was bequeathed to a unit after one of Jack's many deaths. The doctor has the code to fully reactivate it. Not just teleporter, but keeps its secret. Kate adds that they keep the manipulator a secret from the Allies. When Clara asks why, Kate indirectly references back to the future as an example. A scientist phones Kate and she orders him to send a picture of some numerals, the activation code that the 11th Doctor carved into the wall of the cell in 1562 for them to find centuries later. Osgood and McGillop enter the archive to Clara's surprise. Kate says they are here because they disposed of the unit personnel, taking her true Zygon form. The Zygon tells its allies to replace Clara as well. However, Clara downs the manipulator and types in the code from Kate's phone. With a smirk, Clara vanishes. In the Tower of London in 1562, the 11th Doctor scratches the activation code on a wall in their cell, while the other two doctors puzzle out how to escape. The War Doctor proposes an isolated sonic shift in the door molecules in order to disintegrate the door. But the 10th Doctor rejects the idea, saying it would take centuries to calculate the necessary formula. The War Doctor starts bickering with the 10th and 11th Doctors, chastising them for their shame of being grown up by speaking like children. Subdued, they look at him darkly, reminding him of the day he ended the Time War. War Doctor notices the feeling of dread and prejudice on their faces when they look at him. The moment reappears, unseen and unheard by the other doctors, and urges the War Doctor to ask his future self the question that he needs to know. How many children died on Gallifrey Day? The 11th Doctor says, I have absolutely no idea. He says he's forgotten the events of the day. He then adds that he's so old that he can't even remember his proper age anymore. However, he guesses he's 1200 years old, putting the Time War 400 years in the past for him. However, the 10th Doctor angrily asks how the 11th could ever forget something as important as this particular number, and bitterly states that there were 2.47 billion children on the planet that day. The War Doctor exclaims in shock that he did count. Disturbed and furious by his successor's impassive nature, he asks him, "For once, I would like to know where I'm going." Vexed by this remark, the 11th Doctor coldly replies, "No, you really wouldn't." The 10th Doctor looks back at him, eyes wide with fear. The moment explains to the War Doctor that the 10th Doctor has become the man who regrets, and the 11th Doctor, and the 11th, the man who forgets. They are the future of the Doctor when he ends the Time War. The moment reminds the War Doctor that his sonic screwdriver, at the most basic level, is exactly the same device as the one used by his counterparts. Same software, different case. He realizes that if he scans the door and implants the calculations as a permanent subroutine in the screwdriver, it will take hundreds of years to work out the formula necessary to disintegrate the door. Then Doctor checks his sonic screwdriver, finding the calculation still going. The 11th checks his, finding the calculation has been completed. They exuberantly congratulate themselves on their cleverness before Clara pushes open the door, which has been unlocked the entire time. Clara asks her doctor if they are all him. The 11th Doctor reminds Clara of the time she went into his timeline, to which she barely remembers. She compliments the 10th Doctor's suit. He thanks her. He then asks why neither of them tried to just open the door. One thing the Doctor retains in all his incarnations is his inability to do simple things. The Queen comes in, telling them that she left the door unlocked as a test, also revealing Clara fell into a trap. She takes them down to the Zygon's lair to show them their plan. Osgood walks the halls of the under gallery before discovering real Kate trapped in a Zygon nest. Kate's body template is being used to refresh the image of her Zygon doppelganger. Osgood frees her, but Kate bemoans the fact that the Zygons now have control of the Black Archive. It means that they've just lost control of the planet to hostile aliens. The doctors and Clara follow the Queen to the lair, whereupon they discover that the Zygon homeworld was destroyed in the early days of the Time War, and so they have decided to take Earth as their new home. However, 16th century Earth is too primitive to be comfortable to the invading shapeshifters, so they intend to invade the more advanced future in order to establish their new homeworld. They Therefore, have translated themselves into the paintings using stasis cubes, which are the Time Lord's three-dimensional paintings. The 11th and 10th Doctor explained to Clara that it works similar to Kuppa soup. The 10th Doctor berates the Zygon Commander for doing a lousy job of replicating the real Queen Elizabeth. But she reveals to his mortification that she is the real Elizabeth. Having had numerous attempts on her life already, Elizabeth carries a hidden blade on her, which she used to slay her twin in the forest and take her place as Zygon Commander. The Zygons thought humans would be too weak to do so, hence why Elizabeth had the advantage of surprise. Elizabeth calls on the Tenth Doctor to save England, but first whisks him away to be married with his past and future selves as reluctant witnesses, and an enthusiastic Clara throwing confetti. War Doctor wonders if there's a lot of kissing in the future, to which the 11 states, "It does start to happen, yeah," in a defeated tone. In a defeated tone. So the 10th Doctor tells Elizabeth that he will be back, but ultimately abandoned his marriage. So the 10th Doctor heads back to his TARDIS, prepping for takeoff as the other two doctors and Clara head inside. The War Doctor notes that 10th really let the control room go. The 11th Doctor recalls it as his grunge face, making 10th think he insulted the TARDIS and he begins soothing it. Suddenly, a flash of light changes the control room, turning it into the War Doctor's control room. Because of the presence of three incarnations of the Doctor, the control room is trying to compensate for different time zones. Both 10th and 11th Doctors are delighted to see the Roundels, which they haven't seen in a while. However, neither of them knows what they actually are. 11th Doctor stabilizes the desktop, picking his current version. The 10th Doctor criticizes. Clara tells them that the Zygons have gotten into the Black Archive, prompting dark stares from them. Okay, you've heard of it? Clara nervously says. In the Black Archive, the Zygons note that the humans don't know half the stuff there does, but they do. They can conquer the Earth in less than a day with what's stored there. Kate, Osgood, and McGillop arrive, saying that they are not armed and thus not a threat. Kate tells her Zygon double that in the event that the Black Archive falls into the wrong hands, a failsafe was created. She voice activates a countdown to detonate a nuclear warhead beneath the tower, which will destroy all of London in order to protect the planet from the Zygons. Her double tries countermanding the order several times. Kate Zygon fervently states that they just have to agree to live, implying she wishes to make a compromise. However, Kate refuses to negotiate, planning to destroy all of London just to be safe. The 11th Doctor's voice crackles on via the space-time telegraph it was given to her father, begging Kate not to detonate. Kate shuts off the device, not wishing to let the Doctor influence her. He tries to land, but the Tower of London had been made TARDIS-proof to prevent his interference. As he tells a confused Clara, quote, human stupidity plus alien technology. Trust me, it's an unbeatable combo, end quote. However, the War Doctor figures out a way to get in. The stasis cubes. They can't just copy the Zygons and wait out in a painting until time is right. The 11th Doctor calls McGillop in the past and instructs him to bring the Gallifrey false painting to the Black Archive. The real Osgood begs the doctor to save them again, as the doctors and Clara force their way out of the painting, having frozen themselves in it earlier. The doctors now face the fall of Arcadia in real time as it unfolds, and are immediately met with an attacking Dalek, which they repel with their sonic screwdrivers. It crashes through the glass of the painting, and the doctors emerge in a heroic fashion. Clara soon follows. The three doctors hand the Cates an ultimatum when they refuse to disarm the Argy's nuclear option. They trigger the memory modifiers to confuse everybody as to whether they are human or Zygon. Then, if they stop the detonation and create a peace treaty, which is sure to be incredibly fair, as negotiators can't remember which side they are on, they will have their memories restored. Utterly confused over their identities, the two Cates stop the detonation in the nick of time and begin to negotiate the treaty. While the Oscoots figure out which of them is which, they decide to keep it to themselves to protect the treaty. As they negotiate, Clara speaks to the War Doctor. She has figured out he hasn't used the moment yet, explaining that her doctor always talked about the day he wiped out the Time Lords. The pain of making that decision is in both the eyes of the 10th and 11th, but not in the War Doctor's. She says that he would do anything to take it back, but the War Doctor remains convinced that his actions will save billions of lives in the future. Across the room, the War Doctor sees the form of the Bad Wolf once more. The moment to decide has come. He tells the interface he's ready, and Clara turns to see who's talking to. When she's turned back, he's vanished. Returned to the barn on Gallifrey, the War Doctor stands in front of the moment, which has simplified its interface by his request. The trigger mechanism is now a big red button for him to push. The moment questions him once more, trying to convince him of his goodness. He still doesn't believe he is worthy of the name Doctor, losing all hope for himself and his people. He believes that the 10th and 11th Doctors are extraordinary men and that he has to commit this act to forge them into what they become. As the War Doctor goes to activate the moment, the interface tells him that the whizzing or sound the TARDIS makes brings hope to everyone who hears it. The War Doctor agrees that he believes it does, and the moment tells him that it brings hope to anyone, no matter how lost they are. The War Doctor realizes that she means a moment later as the sounds of two TARDISes fill the barn. The 10th and 11th Doctors park the TARDISes and exit them. Clara tells the 11th that she was right about the War Doctor not having committed the act he was so ashamed of. The 10th Doctor states that the last great Time War should be time locked. They shouldn't have been able to get there. 11th counters that something must have led them through, so they can speak to their forgotten incarnation. The moment, still unseen by all but the War Doctor, calls them clever. The War Doctor tells the two of them to go back to their lives and be the doctor that he couldn't be and make it worthwhile. Right as the War Doctor places his hand above the button, the 10th and 11th Doctors tell him of how they pushed him down in their memories for years. They kept him a secret, even from themselves, out of shame. They pretended, they pretended he wasn't the doctor when he was the doctor more than they or any of their or other incarnations could have been. The War Doctor was the doctor on the day it was impossible to make the right decision. However, this time he doesn't have to make this horrible choice alone. They place their hands over his at the moment, forgiving him and themselves. Having gained some peace from hearing from his future selves call him the doctor, something he denied himself for years. The War Doctor tearfully thanks them. Clara tearfully objects. She knew that, quote, the doctor had activated the moment and destroyed his homeworld, but she had never imagined the 11th Doctor with his hands on the button. The reality of the Time War projects around them. Children crying, innocents suffering. The doctor could not find another way to end it all, but Clara believes in a different solution. She calls upon two doctors, the warrior and the hero. But this leads the 11th to wonder what he is. Clara asks if he truly has forgotten. He has, asking Clara to tell him what to do. We have enough warriors. Any old idiot can be a hero. Be what you've always been. Be a doctor. She asked him what the promise was when he chose to call himself the doctor. The 10th and the war doctors recite, never cowardly or cruel. Never give up. Never give in. The moment ends the projection. At that, a brilliant new idea descends on the room. 11 Doctor says that he has had a long time to think about it. He changed his mind. The intent of the moment worked. The War Doctor saw the future he needed to see. Picking up on his future self's idea without explanation, the War Doctor exclaims that he could just kiss Bad Wolf Girl right now, which catches the 10 Doctor's attention, only for him to be distracted from it as he realizes what his counterparts were getting at and agrees that it is a wonderful idea. They have changed their minds about using the moment, and the F-11 Doctor disarms the device with his sonic screwdriver. Instead, they intend to freeze Gallifrey in a moment in time, slipped away in a pocket universe, the way the Zygons froze themselves into Time Lord art. When Gallifrey of Dalek ships firing constantly will be exterminated in their own crossfire before they can cease firing, and the universe will believe that the two races destroyed each other. On the last day of the Time War, another message from the Doctor appears before the High Command. Gallifrey stands! The three Doctor race in their TARDISes towards Gallifrey and transmit to the war room. Three transmissions, each showing a different Doctor, much to the General's dismay, appear. They explain their incredible plan to save Gallifrey. They will position themselves around the planet equidistantly and freeze it, just like the stasis cubes, but to a whole planet and all the people on it. General objects, saying that they'd be lost in another universe, frozen in a single moment with nothing. But the doctors tell him the alternative is burning, and they've seen that and don't want to again. The 11th Doctor also informs him that with this plan, the Time Lords will at least have hope, something they don't have now. The General is dumbfounded. He tells them that the idea is delusional, claiming that even if it was possible, the calculations alone would take centuries. 11th and 10 doctors agree, saying it would take hundreds and hundreds of years. But they've had a very long time to think about it. In fact, we could say they've been working on it all their lives. At that, the voice of the first doctor is heard contacting the War Council. 9 more police boxes fly around the planet, and all of the past incarnations of the Doctor come together to save Gallifrey, all making contact with the Council. General bemoans the idea that all 12 Doctors have arrived, when 3 was bad enough. However, his count in one short, and Drogo points out that all 13 incarnations of the Doctor are present to save Gallifrey. A new incarnation from the Doctor's days yet to come is also on the way. A brief glimpse of this future Doctor shows a hand reaching for a lever in the console room, and a pair of piercing blue eyes watching the console monitor. As the Daleks increase their attack upon seeing the 13 TARDISes, the General realizes that he has no choice and tells the Doctor quietly to do it. The 13 Doctors prepare their TARDISes with the 10th and 11 Doctors exclaiming their catchphrases, while the exasperated War Doctor goes with a simple Gallifrey stands. After a fresh and colossal explosion, space becomes empty and quiet as one damaged Dalek fighter pod goes spinning off. Back in the National Gallery, the 10th, 11th, and War Doctors muse on the ambiguity of whether their plan succeeded. The presence of the mysterious painting of the fall of Arcadia remains an enigma to the three Doctors. While they don't know if their plan worked, they agree that it was better to have failed having done the right thing than succeeding in doing the wrong. War Doctor bids a fond farewell to his replacements. They return an equally fond farewell as they finally addressed him as Doctor, a man fully worthy of the title, even if he will only know it briefly. Because the timelines are out of sync, War Doctor and the Ten Doctor won't be able to retain their memories of these events. They will forget them completely until they catch up to their 11th incarnation. However, right now the War Doctor is content and pleased that he can refer to himself as Doctor again. He gives Clara a farewell kiss and takes a moment to sort out his TARDIS out from the other two in the gallery. As he pilots his TARDIS away, he suddenly sees his hands glowing with regeneration energy and says that it makes sense, as his old body is wearing a bit thin. After surviving the Time War, he's ultimately dying of old age. With his work done in the battle, the energy begins to overtake the War Doctor. He expresses one last desire that the change will leave him with less conspicuous ears this time. The War Doctor smiles peacefully as his next regeneration begins. Acknowledging that he won't be able to remember the answer, the Tenth Doctor questions his successor as to where we're going that you don't want to talk about. The 11th Doctor relents and reveals that they are destined to die on Translore in battle, with millions of lives cost. The 10th Doctor says that that's not how it's supposed to be, but the 11th Doctor tells him it is determined now. Preparing to leave, the 10th Doctor shakes his successor's hand and says that he is glad his future is in good hands. He kisses Clara's hand and with a smile starts to step into his TARDIS. Before he does, he expresses his desire to exchange their final destination of Trenzalore, saying, I don't want to go. As TARDIS dematerializes, the 11th Doctor smiles and remarks, he always says that. Clara asks the Doctor if he would like to sit and look at the painting for a little while. He smiles, asking how she knew. Clara kisses him on the cheek and tells him that she always knows. It's his sad old eyes. As she steps into the TARDIS, she mentions that an old man, possibly the gallery's curator, was looking for him. As the Doctor sits down and looks at the painting, he begins musing out loud that he would be a great curator. He says with a laugh that he could call himself the great curator, retire and becomes the curator of this gallery. A deep and very familiar voice affirms that he really might. The astonished Doctor looks over to see a very familiar face standing next to him. An old man, the curator of the gallery, who greatly resembles the fourth Doctor. The Doctor studies the old man in wonderment. Astonished by this resemblance, he has to the Doctor's fourth incarnation, as he tells him that he never forgets a face. And the old man replies that he knows he doesn't, and that he might himself revisiting some of them in the future. But just the old favorites, eh? The Doctor merely smiles and winks at the old man. The man then turns the Doctor's attention to the painting, explaining that he acquired it under remarkable circumstances, and asks the Doctor what he makes of the title, a question that confused the Doctor due to the painting having two different titles, No More and Gallifrey Falls. However, the man reveals to the Doctor that people always get that fact about a painting wrong. It's two titles, actually just one. The true title of the painting is Gallery Falls No More. The man then asks the Doctor what the title of the painting could possibly mean. The Doctor realizes that he was successful and Gallifrey was indeed saved. The mysterious man comments that he surely wouldn't know, as he's merely a humble curator. The Doctor excitedly asks him if he knows where Gallifrey is, but he only cryptically reveals that he is simply lost and that the Doctor has a lot to do. The Doctor asks if that means he's supposed to go looking for Gallifrey, but the curator tells him that the decision is entirely up to him. He also muses that he and the Doctor might be the same man from different perspectives, sounding wistful about days having gone by, congratulating the Doctor on the new journey he is about to commence. As to whether or not he truly is an incarnation of the Doctor from the future, curator simply teases the thought, who knows, eh? Who knows? And with a tap of his nose, he turns and walks away. The 11th Doctor concludes that he has a mission, the mission of a lifetime. He must find Gallifrey and return it and all its people to the universe. Later, the Doctor speaks of his dreams as he is seen to walk through the TARDIS console room. Clara would laugh at him when he said that he dreamed about where he was going, as he was always going nowhere. However, he says that he finally realizes where he has been traveling all this time. Home. He simply says that it has taken so many years and lifetimes to take the long way around. As he exits the TARDIS in the dream, but Dr. Jones's 11 past selves, the War Doctor, no longer excluded from the Doctor's incarnations as he stands proudly with his past and future selves, in gazing up at the magnificent planet in the sky, determined to find Gallifrey and save his home once and for all. So, and that, my friends, is this story called The Day of the Doctor. I will now dive immediately into the continuity. And I remember, and I repeat myself again and again in every live stream, that um, um, again and again that in Doctor Who, in Doctor Who universe, in the universe, stories and episodes, and to some extent related to each other, referencing to each other, linked to each other, and from influence to each other. And there's always an interpretation. And every time I rewatch an episode or story, I see or discover new things. And in Doctor Who, there is it is choose your own canon. So that is for every fan to decide what's canon, what's not canon. But it's not. That's another thing. Some things in adaptation what deals with continuity, what are relation to other episodes stories are. So first of all, Clara is now a teacher at Coal Hill School. A sign that shows that Ian Chessington is chairman of the school's board of governors. There's a link to TV story An Elderly Child. Second, Clara rides a motorbike into the TARDIS console room. A policeman from San Francisco previously rode a motorbike into the TARDIS as the TV movie Doctor Who. 10th Doctor similarly rode a moped out of the TARDIS. That's a TV story The Idiot's Lantern. And 11th Doctor did the same with a motorbike in TV story The Bells of St. John. Another thing is that the War Doctor comments that his companions keep getting younger, a sentiment that had been previously stated by Sarah Jane Smith in TV story School Reunion. Another thing is that the 11th Doctor continues to wear Amy Pond's reading glasses. There's a link to TV story The Angels Take Manhattan, The Snowman, and The Rings of Akatan. Next thing is that Kate asked Osgood to tell Malcolm Taylor to change the batteries in the robotic Ravens outside the Tower of London. There's a link to TV story The Planet of the Dead. Kate previously made a seemingly joking comment to Amy Pond about having, quote, Ravens of Death, end quote. That is in TV story The Power of Three. The next thing is that the 11th Doctor again uses the phone on the outside of the TARDIS. It's linked to TV story The Bells of St. John. It had previously not been a real phone. That is the case with the TV star The Empty Child. Romana II said previously that paintings were done by computers on Gallifrey. That's TV story City of Death. The War Doctor statement, no more, in relation to the Time War, was also said by Dalek Khan after he saw the Daleks through all time and space. There's a link to TV story Journey's End. The Time Lords in the War Room mentioned that the High Council are holding an emergency session and that they have plans on their own. However, General comments that the High Council's plans have already failed. There's a link to TV story The End of Time. Another thing that Androgo mentions, all Dalek fleets surrounding the planet now converging on the capital, where the sky trenches are holding. The Daleks managed to breach foreign sky trenches surrounding Arcadia, which is considered, quote, the safest place on Gallifrey, end quote, by veteran Time Lord soldiers on duty at a city outpost. And until the final day of the Time War, nothing in history had managed to breach more the two sky trenches. There's a link to TV story The Last Day. It is in Minnesota. Like the Doctor Stardust when it inhabited, like the Doctor Stardust when it inhabited Idris, the moment is confused between the past and the future. That's a link to TV story The Doctor's Wife. When surrounded by Queen Elizabeth I's soldiers, the War Doctor asked the Tenth Doctor and the Eleventh Doctor if they were going to assemble a cabinet at them. The phrase "build a cabinet" was previously used by River Song in relation to the sonic screwdriver. See that in link to TV story Day of the Moon. But now Ninth Doctor asks Jack Harkness if he'd never had a lot of cabinets to put up. When Doc asked him about the sonic, that's the link to TV story The Doctor Dances. Kate encounters an alien which duplicates her appearance and impersonates her. This had previously happened when a Damon statue had taken her shape. That's home fit, Damon's Rising. Clara exclaims that there are three doctors present. Kate replies, "We have a precedent for that." See also in the TV story The Three Doctors. The 11th Doctor calls to Clara about a wormhole, referring to her as the Wicked Witch on the of the Well. Hyla Takarin was previously referred to by this name due to the wormhole in Caliburn House. You see a link to TV story Hyde. Many alien artifacts are seen in the Black Archive, including River Song's Red Hills. That's the TV story Time of the Angels. Margaret Clamps, that's a link with TV story Emir of Ghosts. The head of Supreme Dalek, that's a link to TV story The Stolen Earth. A Dalek Tommy gun, that's an evolution of the Daleks. The restraining chair from Naismith Mansion, that's a link to the end of time. The space-time telegraph, linked to TV story Terror of the Zykins. A sonic probe, that's TV story The Girl Who Waited. The face mask of one of the clockwork droids, that's a TV story The Girl in the Fireplace. Impon's pinwheel in the TV story The 11th Hour. A Storm Blaster in TV story The Sontaran Stratagem. And some TARDIS Coral, that's TV story The Runaway Bride. Another thing is that when the 11th Doctor comments on how skinny his previous incarnation is, he says, "I've never seen it from the outside." Even though he had as the final fifth Doctor in Time Crash and has subsequently seen the Meta Crisis Doctor who outwardly matches the 10 Doctors in appearance in Journey's End. Another thing is that the Doctor marries Elizabeth I. We see it in TV story The End of Time, The Beast Below, Amy's Choice, and The Wedding of River Song. She later shows antagonism towards the 10th Doctor in 1599, but as this happened earlier in the Doctor's personal timeline, he had no idea why she hated him. And there's a link to the story The Shakespeare Code. Another thing is that when the 10th Doctor sees his 11th incarnation, this top team, he says he doesn't like it. That's a TV story, The Three Doctors, The Five Doctors, A Closing Time. The 5th Doctor also disliked the 10 Doctors changing the desktop team. when they accidentally ran their tortoises into each other. She had in TV's story Time Crash. Nora thinks that security protocol from the Black Archive involves a self-destruct triggered through nuclear warhead detonation at the sacrifice of all human life in the blast radius. A similar nuclear option against alien attack was developed by a unit in the form of the Osterhagen project, was also nearly activated. There's a link to the Stolen Earth in Johnny's End. Another thing is that when the doctor calls from a TARDIS phone, his telephone number once again is 07700900461. It's also with the TV story The Stolen Earth. Another thing is that the promise the doctor made is almost identical to the idea that Ace has of him, as when she tries to maintain her identity, she thinks of the doctor as impulsive, idealistic, ready to risk his life for a worthy cause. Hates tyranny and oppression, never gives in, never gives up, believes in good and fights evil. Though often caught up in violent situations, he's a man of peace. He's never cruel or cowardly. There's a link to Pro's time worm revelation. Later, John Smith made similar notes about being the Doctor, seen it in Pro's human nature. Another thing is that the War Doctor excitedly exclaims that he could kiss the Batwolf girl, to which the moment replies with, that's definitely gonna happen." There's a link to TV story The Parting of the Ways. Another thing is that when the Doctor contacts the War Council to confirm they're ready to put Gallifrey into a pocket universe, General complains, "I didn't know when I was well off. All 12 of them." This echoes Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart's comment of, "Three of them, eh? I didn't know when I was well off." There's a link to TV story The Three Doctors. Next, during the war in heaven, homunculets heard rumors they were Gallifreys hidden in pocket universes. We see in Poirot's Taken of Planet 5. At least one of the 9 Gallifreys was moved into a bottle universe to escape destruction by the enemy. There's a link to Poirot's Dead Romans. Next thing is that Gallifrey's war effort is led by War Council. Poirot's taking of Planet 5 audio body politic, also called Gallifrey High Command. There's some pros to K9 and Time Trap, and K9 and the Zeta Rescue. Next thing is that prior to regenerating, the War Doctor comments that his body is wearing a bit thin, repeating the line spoken by the first Doctor immediately prior to his own regeneration into the second Doctor. You see that in this TV story, The 10th Planet. He then hopes that the ears are a bit less conspicuous this time. Ninth Doctor makes a reference to the size of his ears when seeing his reflection. You see that in the TV story Rose. The 11th Doctor refers to his fate on Trenzalore. That's a TV story, the name of the Doctor. The 10th Doctor, when he returned to his own timeline, tells the 11th Doctor that he is glad his, quote, future is in safe hands, end quote. You see that in the TV story, The Five Doctors. And the last thing is that 10th Doctor, upon hearing of Trenzalore, says that they need to take a different direction, proclaiming, "Don't want to go." There's a link relation to TV story, The End of Time. And that, my friends, is all I have to say about this story. Yes, film. So, now the commercials. Sci-Fi and Fantasy fans meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music, and sport, and a special place on this channel for Doctor Who, my most beloved sci-fi series. I will always love Doctor Who. I will always watch Doctor Who. Random Entertainment Channel, because we discuss everything involves entertainment, including movies and series, books and music. And we don't do Politics, and religion. These are not entertainment. We want to have laughter, joke, and humor. Random entertainment channel, because we did broadcast on non-fixed times, actually many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. Random also because we have no guests or different guests. It depends on what you join me in live stream panel. If you want to join me in live stream, feel free to contact me via Discord and YouTube and we'll look what is possible. What also is possible is to invite me for your channel. Feel free to invite me for your channel. How to contribute to your channel in a live stream or panel. So I want to make friends, I want to meet people, I want to network. So in summary, you are invited for our panel in a live stream, and feel free to invite me for a panel on your channel in a live stream. The invitation. Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel Tech Doctor Who. So cheers, mate, and have lots of fun. Your host, Enigmatic Joker. So I'm looking forward to meet you. Have a nice day, all. Bye bye. Bye bye.